In Focus today on WLCN, in Focus North Charleston, I am joined by longtime mayor of North Charleston, Kisame. He looks very familiar to a lot of you, I'm sure.
Glad to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming. First of all, North Charleston has kind of, let's say, ebb and flow. First of all, you know, you've been working hard for several years to change the city's image, and it looks like you got a foothold on doing that. What are some of the big changes in North Charleston that are taking place right now?
Well, we've just really been blessed in this issue where we've been looking at a downturn economy. But if you look at North Charleston with what we've had coming in with Boeing, 3,000 jobs, not including a lot of the potential jobs that come in from suppliers and what have you, and the immediate jobs that have been created right now in getting the ground site prepped. And then you're looking at the actual construction phases that create the immediate jobs. While all that's going on, there'll be training going on for those new employees that will come in and work in the Boeing plant. So that's a key addition to our community. The economic impact that that's going to have long term is phenomenal. And we've also been very fortunate in working with Clemson University. And Clemson's coming in with the wind turbine testing facility. They received a $45 million federal grant matched by a $53 million match that's going to allow them to test large wind turbines, which anything you can come today looking at alternative sources of energy. And this is going to be a big operation. Successfully, if it works out to be the way it should, over the next 15 to 20 years, we could be creating anywhere from 10 to 20,000 jobs for the state of South Carolina, and I'm talking about high-paying jobs as well.
That's pretty crazy. The wind turbine and Boeing, we'll get to that more on that in a second. But North Charleston, again, a lot of people thought, well, North Charleston, there's a lot of crime there, years ago. There's, that's just kind of some industrial city. Don't know what's going on there. That's the place in between the peninsula and Columbia. There's big changes. If you were to describe North Charleston 10 years ago and describe North Charleston today and maybe 10 years from now, what's some of the differences?
Well, I think North Charleston, when I became mayor 15 years ago, was known as a great industrial base, a place to work. We had a lot of deteriorating communities and neighborhoods within the city that brought down our image. And what we've been trying to do is go back and redevelop those older areas of the city. As we had grown northerly, we had let the southern end of the city go. And we're bringing that back because the transportation issues that we have in the community today, we got more people wanting to move back in. Mm-hmm. Happens in every city. Right. And so we're redeveloping those areas, and instead of being a place where people love to work, now it's a place we want people to live, work, and play. And so we've been doing things to enhance those images. 10 years ago, we didn't have a convention center, performing arts center. We didn't have a lot of the park space that we have today, the Riverfront Park on the Naval Base. The base closure had taken place, and people were looking down instead of up as to where we could go. We're the #1 retail sales leader in the state of South Carolina. People are visiting our area more. Crime has come down dramatically. We've put a lot more emphasis on community policing, working within the community. And so what we have created is a place today that's far different from what it was 10 years ago. Now with the Boeings coming in, with the wind turbine operation coming in, we're becoming known more as a green sustainable community, from an industrial community to a green sustainable community. The new city hall that we built, the image has changed dramatically, and we'll just be enhancing that. 10 years from now, I think North Charleston will be known as the leading city in the state of South Carolina.
And again, the statistics, little factoids about North Charleston that people don't think about. The one you just had, the #1 retail city as far as profit goes from consumers in the state.
In the state.
And that's and you have Columbia, you have Greenville, you have Charleston. North Charleston's #1, and the third largest city in the state.
Absolutely.
Nobody.
In a young city.
Right.
I mean, if you take
and the size of it's an infancy, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we were created in 1972. So compared to a lot of other cities in the state, we're very young. And to go in that period of time to the third largest in size, number one in retail, and number one by almost $1 billion this past year in retail sales compared to Columbia, which was number two. And you know, that means that a lot of people are finding us a place that they want to visit and shop. Our hotel motel accommodations rates of number of people that are staying per night and occupancy rates are higher than anywhere else in the state of South Carolina. And we're seeing more people visiting and staying in North Charleston, although while we're adding hotels every year in North Charleston, and quality hotels. But yet our rates are fair enough where people can afford to spend more out-of-pocket money in retail, more out-of-pocket money in our restaurants. So we're spreading those dollars, I think, more evenly than just in the hospitality industry.
Okay, you say you just had a big lump of clay and you were molding North Charleston to kind of what you envision and what city leaders envision. You want the city to have an image of being more progressive, correct?
Absolutely, and you have to do that. And one of the successes of North Charleston is we have developed a growing cycle where we have adequate retail, adequate industrial, and adequate residential. A lot of communities, when you end up with mostly residential, your tax base is so low that your residential has to carry the whole load. In North Charleston, we share that residential with the industrial and the commercial, which brings the taxes lower on the residential side. And we share our community. We're a city of 95,000, but on any given day, we've got 250,000 people that either traverse through or shop or work in North Charleston.
And what, as far, you were talking about the future of North Charleston, let's touch on just a gigantic thing that people are still trying to put their arms around there in North Charleston, and that's Boeing. What kind of changes will that make just to the infrastructure alone and to the, to the types of people it'll bring in, the young professionals?
Oh, absolutely. It creates challenges, first of all, in how do we deal with the traffic. And we've had this issue with traffic in our area for so long, but I think Boeing has brought the realization that you can't fix it all with new roads and widening roads. You have to look at the way you do business. Boeing is actually going to start their early shift at 5:45 in the mornings, which takes that traffic coming in at a different time, going out at a different time than your peak traffic periods. So it's making us realize, how do we approach the transportation needs that we have, not from just a construction standpoint, which is needed to be done and already had needed to be done, but how do we deal with our corporate citizens in arranging schedules and stuff so that we can move traffic better? How do we deal with agencies that don't move traffic at night into moving some of their traffic at night, especially with the growth of the port that we've got going on? But we're headed in a direction that Boeing, I honestly believe that this is the first Boeing project that we'll see. And that will spin off into other aviation connectors, from suppliers and folks of that nature. I think at the end of the day, Boeing is just the tip of the iceberg in what we'll see in aeronautics. And the state of South Carolina and North Charleston and Charleston County have been looking at trying to create an aeronautics cluster for the last 5 years.
Right.
So this is not anything that's new. It's just that we're now able to see some transition moving forward to meeting the goals that we have set for the aeronautics cluster, because the quality of the jobs that are created, the pay that is created by those jobs brings up the average income level of folks living in the greater Charleston area and the state of South Carolina. More expendable income creates a better market for our retail, a better market for those people that are looking for housing. So it's just a panoramic thing that comes about that creates this mushroom of investment that can come into the community.